to Brakpan on the East Rand, and back in action was former production car works driver Bevan Bertold. Winner of the Carnival City 400 in 2006, Bertold was now out in a porter in the special vehicle category.
Nice to be back to come have some fun in the bush and come play around in a Sandmaster. We haven't been in one for 5 years, so we'll see how we go, you know.
Although Evan Hutchinson and Achim Bergman looked to have the championship sewn up, Comrades marathon veteran Nick Harper and son Ryan had not yet thrown in the towel and were determined to give the championship leaders a run for their money.
If they do well in this race or win this race, I think that's it. They're going to win the championship. But you know, for us to win now, we've got a DNF. I think every race till the end of the season. But we're going to carry on and try our best to give them a hard time. You know.
Hutchison and Bergman took to the Highveld 400 a massive 52-point lead in the championship. Behind them, just 4 points separated the Harpers and Shamir Variawa and Siegfried Rousseau.
Special vehicle crews also draw for prologue start positions. Co-driver Achim Bergman promptly drew #1 on the road ahead of reigning champion Kali Sulwald.
Former quad racer Hutchison and Achim Bergman, who built the car, have dominated the special vehicle category this season in the Motorrad Revo 1. The 4x4 car has also performed impeccably, taking Hutchison and Bergman to 4 wins and a second in just 5 starts. Hutchison has also branched out into the Sasol Rally Championship with great success. The Motorrad car was being chased by reigning champion Kali Sulwald and stand-in co-driver Simon Prinsloo in the Sulwald Racing Bat. Prinsloo was deputizing for Sulwald's son Quinton, who was busy with university exams in Stellenbosch.
The fastest time of the day in the special vehicle category went to Mark Corbett and Rudy Balzar in the compact Century Racing CR1. Like the Motorrad Revo 1, the CR1 also runs in 4x4 configuration and is fast and nimble. The major drawback is reliability, and going into the Highveld 400, this car had yet to finish a race.
Just over 40 seconds behind the Corbett-Balzar entry were Gerard du Plessis and Ferdi Seegers, who were making a surprise appearance after a 2-year break from national championship racing. Du Plessis and Seegers were out in a 9-year-old Jimco and surprised everyone with a time that gave regular competitors in the ABSA series a severe wake-up call. Among them were Nick and Ryan Harper in the Atlas Copco Bat, who needed a good result to keep alive very slim championship hopes.
Also needing a good result to keep their championship pot boiling were former SA champions Shamir Variawa and Siegfried Rousseau in the Total Motorsport Porter. The only other crew to have won the event this season, Variawa and Rousseau were over a minute down on du Plessis and Seegers, but were happy with third on the road for the race. Behind the total car, there was a fine performance from brothers David and Gary White in the Ruacon Racing Bat, who blasted their way to the 5th fastest time to lead the Class P brigade. Their run was not without incident, though.
There was another solid performance from Limpopo crew Naeem Mossaji and Mohammed Molson in the Tyre Rack Jimco. Mossaji and Molson went into the Highveld 400 as one of only 4 crews with a 100% finish record. It was that sort of consistency that had taken them into 5th place overall in the championship. Behind the Jimco, Johan van Staden and James Rousseau in the KEC Bat were trying to get their season back on track after 2 did not finish results in a row. In a promising start to the weekend, the pair was 2nd quickest in Class P.
Evan Hutchinson later described the prologue as the worst time trial of his career. Rule number 1, if you're leading the championship and have 4 wins in 5 starts, is not to spin the car in front of a TV cameraman.
Clearly it happens to the best of them. What was turning into a disappointing run for the championship leaders was about to get worse. The Motorrad Revo 1 also picked up a puncture, and Hutchison and Bergman had to be content with the 8th fastest time amongst the special vehicles.
There was more drama when Herman Sulwald and son Wichard suddenly ground to a halt in the Sulwald Racing Zarko. It was a frustrated Sulwald Senior, who won the South African Championship 15 years ago, who explained the problem.
Hier het die agtersuspensie se rodend het gesnap. Nou ja, toe gee die wielpad en dan druk die dryfsaf deur Die receiving, nou ja, daar staan ons.
For the Sawats, having to push the Zaka out of harm's way was a disappointing end to proceedings. Also disappointed with his day's work was KwaZulu-Natal driver Don Thompson, with new co-driver Halmar van Gesselen sitting alongside him in a Zako. Thompson and van Gesselen were more than 3.5 minutes behind Class P leaders David and Gary White, and the KZN flyer was not a happy camper.
There were, however, no such woes for Simon Beckett and Steve Harris in the Century Racing Bat. They set the fastest time in Class B and were spurred along by leading Class A driver Mike Whitehouse, who'd already completed his afternoon's work.
While Beckett and Harris went on their merry way, there were problems ahead for Class B championship leaders Derek du Toit and Ian Pienaar in the Orange Tree Bat.
Du Toit and Pienaar beached the bat on a huge hump and were stranded.
Fortunately for the Cape crew, Mike Whitehouse and co-driver Matthew Carlson were still on the scene and, along with Pienaar, provided the muscle power to solve the problem.
Okay, 1, 2.
Who needs horsepower?
At the second attempt, the hump proved to be no problem for Du Toit, but the delay cost the Cape team, and they finished the day 3 minutes and 28 seconds behind Beckett and Harris.
Another steady performance by the Mahanete brothers. Keith and Andrew took them into third place in Class B in Azarko, with the pair arriving at the Highveld 400 in second place in the Class B championship behind Du Toit and Pienaar. Perseverance and consistency has been the key word this season for the Mahanetes, and behind them, the hump was to claim another casualty when Johan de Klerk and Louis Pretorius arrived on the scene.
When the prologue dust had settled, the big talking point was the performance of Gerard du Plessis and Ferdy Segers in the 9-year-old Jimco.
Ja, dit is nogal verbazend geweest. Ons het nogal niet gedacht het zou zo goed gaan. Als die tijden nou ziet, dat het klaar is. Maar ach, dit is maar net normaal weggereden. Het geeft niet gevoel alsof die kar wil breken. Net rustig rijden. En maar proberen op je pad blijven. En die navigatie is nogal redelijk erg met die nieuwe GPS-systemen. Maar het is nog niet voor ons, maar het lijkt me maar eigenlijk heel makkelijk.
Final results saw Corbett and Balzar less than a minute ahead of the Du Plessis and Segers surprise package, with championship leaders Hutchison and Bergman languishing down in 8th place.
The day starts early for off-road races, and the Carnival city lights at the entrance to the East Rand Entertainment Complex were still shining brightly as teams started preparing for what was going to be a tough day.